Welcome to today's ILTA YouTube video, how to create a chatbot-driven knowledge base in SharePoint. My name is Amit Patney, and I'm a solutions architect at Microsoft. As a quick recap, we are on the last video of our three-part series, and in our previous videos, I went over on how to provision a bot in Copilot Studio, as well as configuring all the security settings. Today, I will be demonstrating how to connect it to a SharePoint site and get use out of these agents. I will ask questions in natural language, and we'll see the results in real time. All right, so let's with that out of the way, let's start configuring the SharePoint bot. So please navigate to copilotstudio.microsoft.com. And again, as a reminder, you will need to log in with your company's M365 credentials. Once done, go ahead and select your previously created bot. In my case, it's the legal services bot. Before I actually go about connecting a SharePoint site or showing everyone how to connect that SharePoint site, let me just take a few moments and talk about it for a second. So SharePoint as a knowledge source for things like generative answers works by pairing your agent, this agent, with a SharePoint URL. For example, it could be contoso.sharepoint.com /sites. So that's our SharePoint URL. So when a user asks a question and the agent doesn't have a predefined topic, what you're seeing here on the screens are some predefined topics. So when it can't find an answer in any one of these topics, that's when the agent will search the URL and all subpaths within the URL. What do I mean by that? So using that same URL as an example of contoso.sharepoint.com /sites, if there are other subpaths underneath that site, for example, let's add after sites /policies, right, as the as a subpath. So in that case, when this agent is going to look up the answers, it's going to include all of those subpaths. Generative answers will then summarize the content into a targeted response. Okay. Also, when you publish your agent, the calls using generative answers are made on behalf of the user that is chatting with the agent, right? We did the previously we did the authentication settings in the one of the previous videos that were configured in the agent. So by default, agents created in Copilot Studio are configured with that authenticate with Microsoft authentication option. Remember, I switched that over to manual, but by default, that's the setting it has, and that's how it passes the identity of the individual who's chatting with the bot, and bot can then verify, does this individual has access to that SharePoint site? And if so, comes back with a response. If that user doesn't have access to the underlying site, it will not produce or generate a response. So that's how we handle the if the user doesn't have access to the SharePoint site, the bot will not return an answer. One other thing. on the supported pages and the file types. So all modern SharePoint pages are supported. In addition, SharePoint sites containing the following file types can also be used as a knowledge source. So it could be a Word document, so both doc or docx documents, PowerPoint, so it could be a PPT or a PPTX, and finally also PDF files. Okay. All right, that's out of the way. Let's go ahead and start adding SharePoint as a knowledge source. To do that, open again. Hopefully, you're already at the point of in your agent that you had previously created, and you can do that by selecting knowledge and add knowledge. Now, I've already pre-configured mine. For you, you will click on knowledge. You will select SharePoint. Give it that URL of your SharePoint site. You can separate multiple URLs with manual line break, so you can press Shift Enter. Give it a name. Add a description. Now the description should be as detailed as possible, especially if generative AI is enabled. So let me just go here. I'm going to leave this. Let me just open this one up. So here's the name. You can see that URL that I used earlier. And here's my description, right? So this description, make it as descriptive as possible because it actually is used in the AI orchestration itself. Once done, click Add to finish adding the knowledge source. So that's it. I'm done adding the SharePoint site as my knowledge source. Let's navigate back to overview. So before I start testing, let me also talk a little bit about how to use prompt modification to provide custom instructions to your agent, or in this case, this bot. Now, prompt modification allows you to basically expand the capabilities of generative answers or boosted conversations by adding custom instructions. And to do that, go back into overview, select the edit button here, and this is where I'm going to give it some instructions. So what is that? You can provide the agent with context, instructions, or any other relevant information for your particular use case. What you're really doing at that point is you describe or you give your bot, your agent, a personality. You define what the agent should or shouldn't answer. An example of that would be, hey, if I in my instructions say, don't interact or respond back with answers about politics or religion. That could be one example of that. If the user is asking questions that fall in that area, it's not going to respond. And then finally, you also define the format of your response. So if I were to say, give it instructions like this, and I'll put a link in the video of where that is. You can look that up. So if I give it some instructions like this, and I say, hey, your tone should be friendly, helpful, cheerful, expressive, always greet the users warmly, use emojis, use positive language, offer help proactively, and so on. That's how the bot's going to respond. You basically are giving it a persona, or in my case, because this is supposed to be a help desk bot or agent, I'm going to give it instructions like this. Format the response as a series of steps, starting each step with 1, 2, and so on. Don't use number list, and each step must be in bold. So when it comes back with the response, that's how it's going to format the response. Just makes it easier for your users by providing these set of instructions. So let's go ahead and save, and at this point we are really ready to test. So as soon as it's done saving, I'm gonna navigate into topics, and again, there's the question I'm gonna ask hasn't been defined in the topic, so let's go ahead, something like how do I configure VPN on Apple devices? And in the middle of the screen, you're seeing that it immediately went over to the knowledge source because it did not find anything defined in the topics section. It quickly went through all of my predefined topic, figured out, hey, there's no topic that matches, predefined topic that matches the question being asked. And at that point, it's going to start going through a bunch of those URLs. So if I had more than one defined, it'll search all of them. Or conversely, if there was a topic defined, that's what it will use. So you can see here in the middle of the screen, it found the knowledge source, and it's using the help desk site, this help desk site. Let me just quickly show that. Here's my help desk SharePoint site. It used that as that knowledge source, and it crafted the response like I asked it to. It did step by step. It did things in bold, and made it easy for the users to be able to use these instructions to do what they need to do. It also gave me a citation, a reference of where exactly it found the response from. So as you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, as I hover my mouse over the reference site, you can see that that's where the response is coming from. So that's basically how it uses the knowledge sources to craft a response back, and then it also used the instructions for crafting a response back for the users. So at this point, my testing is complete. I've verified my results. I'm getting the results back as I expected. So at this point, I'm ready to publish my bot. Basically, it'll package up all the changes I've been making, or all the work that I've been doing on this bot so far. Comes back with a list of any risks that it might have identified. In this case, I'm gonna ignore. It's just saying, hey, all of this will be shared with all the users in my organization. This is a test environment, so I'm gonna ignore that for now. And I'm ready to hit publish. It'll commit all my changes. I can close this window and keep working in the background. Let's just let it finish all that it needs to do. Once we're done publishing the changes or committing all the changes, I am going to then share this with the users within my organization. So let's go ahead and do that. Select the three dots, hit share, and yeah, I can share it with everyone, and I can tell what type of permissions. So these are just viewers. They'll also receive a email, and that's how you would share. One last thing before I end the video here, I'll mention about the different channels where this bot can be published. It can be within Teams. It could be on a custom website, so you can embed this bot in any website that you want to be able to use the bot from. It could be telephony as well, and any additional channels that you're seeing here in the screen. So a mobile app, a Slack channel, and others as well. The list is all visible here. This brings us to the end of this video series. I hope you found it useful, and thanks for your time.